The Trump administration is freezing billions of dollars in grants to Harvard after the university refused to comply with the White House's demands. CBS News national correspondent Nikki Battiste has the story from Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Harvard University here is in a battle of beliefs with the Trump administration. In its latest move, the federal government has frozen about $2 billion in grants here at the university. That came after the president here at Harvard refused to comply with demands from the federal government regarding anti-Semitism and diversity issues here. The president wrote a letter to faculty and students and called these requests unconstitutional. Harvard is one of 60 schools that had been under investigation. We spoke with a medical professor here to get an idea of the real life impact of these cuts. He runs a lab here. He said some of the research that could be impacted involves Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, cancer. And at another school we visited just yesterday, Johns Hopkins, an oncologist there said cuts at that school could mean ending clinical trials that save people's lives. That's some idea of what the impact could be on Americans. Back to you.
Nikki Battiste, thank you. CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now. Weijia, is this one of the most significant examples we're seeing yet of a university essentially bucking the president's demands for reform?
It is, Lindsay. Harvard has made explicitly clear that it refuses to comply with what the administration is demanding of them, as you guys mentioned, risking more than $2 billion worth of funding and grants. In other cases, we have seen schools like Columbia University acquiesce and agree to some policy changes. And that's certainly not the case here. Harvard taking a big stand against the administration and saying that they will continue to work to combat anti-Semitism, and Harvard remains open to dialogue about what the university has done and is planning to do to improve the experience of every member of its community. It really is the first school to push back in this way against the government's efforts to force change at these universities. Of course, Harvard is not alone. Columbia, Brown University, several others on the list, Lindsay, that the administration continues to target.
Weijia, I want to ask you about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. What is the White House saying about this case? Have they released any statements since this hearing today?
Not yet, Lindsay, but they certainly have made their position very clear, which is that they believe this is not their problem. And as Camila laid out, they say that if he were to somehow make it to a port of entry in the United States, at that point they would facilitate his deportation to another country that is not El Salvador. Of course, that is almost ridiculous because he is being held in a maximum security prison in El Salvador. And the president there has said that he's not going to move this prisoner. And so he is stuck there right now. And it doesn't seem like there is any movement from the Trump administration to change that.
Finally, we just learned the White House plans to no longer give a permanent press pool spot to wire services. What does this mean?
Yes, the press office just announced that there would be a sweeping change to the makeup of what's called the press pool. And that is a group of journalists who go into the Oval Office, as an example, who fly aboard Air Force One, because obviously hundreds of journalists can't do that all at once. So this group is meant to represent constituencies for everyone else who can't be there. So, for example, when CBS News is pool, we go in, we shoot video, we ask the president questions on behalf of the other television networks. And for decades, there has been a wires rotation. In fact, when Trump first started and all through his first term, all three wires, Bloomberg, Reuters, and the Associated Press, had a spot in the press pool. And that changed to one spot for a wire, and then they would rotate. So long story short, now that spot is gone. And basically, it just frees up, more space for the press secretary and for the administration to dictate who they want to be in the room with the president, asking questions and traveling with him. And the president himself has made abundantly clear that he prefers friendly media. He expects reporters to ask him, quote, nice questions and to praise him for his accomplishments, which, of course, is not our job, Lindsay. So this is yet another move to try to control the reporters who are around him.
All right, Weijia, Jiang, thank you.